Right. Morning. Good morning. The City of Boston Zoning Board of Appeal hearing for April 11th, 2023 is now in session. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the applicable provisions of the open meeting law, including the updated provisions enacted by the legislature last year. The new law allows the board to continue its practice of holding virtual hearings until March 2025. This hearing of the board is being held remotely via Zoom webinar event platform. This hearing is also being live. In order to ensure this hearing of the board is open to the public, members of the public may access this hearing through telephone and video conferencing. The information for connecting to this hearing is listed on today's hearing agenda, which is posted on the public notices page of the city's website, boston.gov. Members of the public will enter the virtual hearing as attendees, which means you will not see yourself on the screen and you will be muted throughout unless administratively unmuted when asked to comment. Board members, applicants, and their attorneys or representatives will participate in the hearing as panelists, and they will appear alongside the presentation materials when speaking. Panelists are strongly encouraged to keep video on while presenting to the board. As with our in-person meetings, comments in support will be followed by comments in opposition. The order of comments is as follows. Elected officials, representatives of elected officials, and members of the public. The chair may limit the number of people called upon to offer comment and the time for commenting as time constraints require. For that reason, the board prefers to hear from members of the public who are most impacted by a project. That is, those individuals who live closest to the project. If you wish to comment on an appeal, please click the raise hand button along the bottom of your screen and the Zoom webinar platform. Click it again and your hand should go down. When the host sees your hand, you will receive a request to unmute yourself. Select yes and you should be able to talk. If you are connected to the hearing by telephone, please press *9 to raise and lower your hand. You must press *6 to unmute yourself after you receive the request from the host. Those called upon to comment will be asked to state their name and address first and then provide their comment. In the interest of time and to ensure that you have enough time to do so, please raise your hand as soon as Mr. Stembridge reads the address into the record. Do not raise your hand before the relevant address is called, or the meeting host will not know to call on you at the appropriate time. These instructions will be repeated throughout the hearing. Okay. Mr. Stembridge.
President, good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Ms. Betta Barraza.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Mr. Shepard.
Welcome, Madam Chair.
Good morning. Ms. Wewell.
Good morning, present.
Good morning. Mr. Valencia.
Good morning, present.
Mr. Langham.
Good morning, Madam Chairman.
Good morning. Mr. Stembridge.
Yes, Madam Chair. The first order of business is the approval of the hearing minutes from February 16th and February 28th of this year.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stembridge.
Next on the list is the extension.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we're making a motion. We're taking.
Jumping ahead, sorry about that.
That's okay, Mr. Stembridge. You just need to say yes. Thank you. Ms. Betta Barraza.
Yes.
Mr. Shepard.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. All right.
Next, we'll move on to the extensions for 9:30 a.m. The first is case BOA 101-9011, the address being 22 to 24 Woodbine Street, Ward 12. I'm sorry. This is the second request for this extension due to expire on May 8, 2023. If granted, the new expiration date will be May 8, 2024. Is the applicant or representative present to say anything else?
Yes, I am.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Derek Small of a business address of 51 Dobson Road. Today we're here seeking an extension of the board's prior decision for this project to erect 4 townhouses.
What timeframe do you need?
We're requesting a year, Madam Chair.
Okay. Javier? What's
Yeah,
available?
yeah, that should be available. Is there a specific time that you guys are looking for?
A year from expiration would be put us into May 8th, 2024.
Okay, great. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant the extension to May 8th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Mr. Langham?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Next, we have case BOA 982435, with the address being 198 Woodrow Avenue. This is the second request for an extension due to expire on May 8, 2023. If granted, the new expiration date will be May 8, 2024. I believe the applicant is present.
Mr. Small?
Yes. Good morning again, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Derek Small with business address 51 Dobson Road. Today, again, we're here seeking a 1-year extension of the board's prior decision to erect a 3-family dwelling on a vacant lot.
May I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the extension till May 8th, 2024.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Mr. Langham?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. All right. I think we
Madam
have
Chair, members of the board.
we do one more time, don't we?
Yes.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Next, we have case BOA 768729, the address being 79 to 89 West Broadway. This is the fourth request for the extension.
Looks like we skipped ahead. I don't know. Yeah, thank you.
This is the fourth request for the extension due to expire on May 11, 2023. If granted, the new expiration date will be May 11, 2024. I believe that's Mr. Small.
Yes, it is. Good morning again, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Derek Small. We have a business address of 51 Dobson Road. Again, we're here on this one to request a 1-year extension on this project at 7989 West Broadway. We are in the process of finalizing the plan with the BPA, and it's just requiring a little bit more time. We're asking for 1 year.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to grant the extension to May 11th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Mr. Langham?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1151358 with the address of 1200 Soldiers Field Road. This is the first request for an extension. The decision will expire on April 23rd of this year. If granted, the new extension date will be April 23rd, 2024. Is the applicant or a representative present?
Yes, thank you. Paul Rufo, Madam Chair, members of the board. Paul Rufo, Smith, Duggan, Cornell, and Golub. Our Boston address is 88 Broad Street in Boston. This is our first request. This is the new WBZ TV station at 1200 Soldiers Field Road. We're close to filing a building permit, and we would ask for a 1 year's extension for this project. Thank you.
May I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the extension till April 23rd, 2024.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Barazza,
yes,
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have case BOA 853785, the address being 68 Forest Street. This is the third request for an extension, which will expire on March 1st, 2023. We will need an extension date. Is the applicant or the representative present?
Yes. Yes, I'm
Yes.
looking for an extension to start this project, and I'd like a year extension.
And what's the reason?
Huh?
What's the reason for the extension? Just delays in the project?
Well, apart from health reasons, the architect that did this project filed for bankruptcy. We could not get a response from him for many, many months. I finally found him. The day I found him was in court, at the Plymouth County Court, filing for bankruptcy for both him and his company. And so that kind of set us back. I have a new architect now, and we're all set to go. 90% of everything is submitted. I just have a couple of things for this new architect to get me.
Excellent. Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to grant extension a year from the date of, I'm not sure the exact date.
March, would expire on March 1st of this year.
So motion to grant extension to March 1st, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Barazza,
yes,
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have case BOA 1029694, the address being 10 Stoneley Road. This is the first request for an extension. Decision due to expire on April 16th of this year. If granted, the new expiration date will be April 16th of 2024. Is the applicant or representative present?
Yes.
Morning. Can you introduce yourself and the reason for the extension?
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Matt Hensey. I'm a development consultant for the development team on this project. Stoneley Brookley LLC, it's a partnership of Causeway Development and Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Development. The project is 100% affordable, supported by Boston MOH. The project is pretty much shovel ready. We're about to file a building permit.
Can we take a quick pause? I think Mr. Valencia is trying to recuse himself. Is that right?
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot. I have to record myself from this one.
You're fine. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Valencia. So yeah, we're about ready to file a building permit, about to go into finance closing mode, and we're ready to roll. And we think we're going to break ground on this great project by the end of the summer. So a 1-year extension would be plenty, and that's what we're requesting.
Perfect. Thank you. May I have a motion?
I make a motion. Go ahead, Katie.
I'll make a motion to grant the extension to April 16th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Barazza,
yes,
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, members of the board.
Next, we have case BOA 1024095, the address of 11 Faneuil Street. This is the first request for extension. The decision will expire on April 23rd of this year. If granted, the new expiration date will be April 23rd of 2024. Is the applicant or the representative present?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street, here on behalf of the applicant seeking a one-year extension for Article 80 approved project at 11 Faneuil Street. This project did get delayed due to financing, caused mostly by the pandemic. Financing is now in place, and within about 3 months, my client should be applying, will be ready to apply for the permit. So we are seeking a one-year extension.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the extension till April 23, 2024.
May I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza,
yes,
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Thank you. Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, members of the board.
Next on the list, we have BOA, it's BOA 486152 with the address of 270 Dorchester Avenue. This is the fourth request for an extension, which will expire on July 14th of this year. If granted, the new expiration date will be July 14th, 2024. Is the applicant or the representative present?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Stenbridge, members of the board. Mark Lacasse, Lacasse Law, 75 Arlington Street in Boston, attorney for the current project proponent, which is different than the original and subsequent project proponent. This is a prominent location at the corner of Dorchester Ave and D Street in South Boston. The existing buildings that used to occupy this site were demolished in 2019, and then the pending project ran headlong into COVID and other subsequent problems. There is a new development team on board with the owner. We are in pre-file notice of project change discussions with the MP and with the BPDA to incorporate some design changes that have been requested by the BPDA. So we are requesting a one-year extension through July 14 of 2024 to complete that process and get this project back on track. It's 114 units with 20 IDP units.
Thank you, Mr. Lacasse. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to grant the extension to July 14th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza,
yes,
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you kindly.
Next, we'll move on to board final officers. Cases 9:30 a.m. First one is case BOA 1097311 with the address being 14 Schuyler Street. Is the applicant or the representative present?
Yeah, he is. This is Mike Ross. Good morning, members of the board, Madam Chair. I'm with the law firm of Prince Lobel at One International Place. I'm here with Eric Zackerson, who is the architect. There should be a set of plans, Madam Chair, that I could just briefly kind of update you with and walk you through.
Thank you.
Oh, there's something. I can, yeah, okay. So let me kind of tell you what's going on, and we can scroll through this. So this was before your board on September 28th, 2021, and the applicant then was approved for 4 units of housing and 7 parking spaces. We are, through the Board of Final Arbiter now today, proposing 2 additional units and 1 additional parking spaces. None of the zoning itself will change in terms of the actual variances, which I'll walk you through in a moment. Just 3 variances will be shifted as a result of this change. And this change is in order to make this project financially viable. One of those 6 units, I should mention also, will also be set aside as an affordable unit. And I should say, all 6 units will be home ownership. So I had the slides marked as AO3, but here is your floor plan. I did have some existing conditions I was going to show you. It's an empty lot, and it's in a 3F 5000 district in Roxbury where there are very large houses really filled out onto the lots they sit. And in this particular lot, it's empty. I think there's an old garage in the back, or an old something in the back, but the house itself has been cleared. With the, we can maybe go on to the next slide. I mean, this is a floor plan. It shows you the 8 parking spaces. Okay, here we go. So yeah, that shows you, I mean, it's tilted, of course, but I don't know if the ambassador can rotate 90 degrees, but in any case, those were the slides I was just talking about. If you go to the next slide, it's going to show you a comparison of what we proposed last time and what we proposed this time. Madam Ambassador, I don't know if you can go to slide 7, perhaps. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do, but that's okay. Let me just describe the difference here between the first and the last as it applies to the zoning itself. So the FAR for this district is a 0.8 FAR, and the original one we proposed back in September 21 was 0.91 was the FAR. We've added an additional 600 square feet in order to make this project work. And so we're now at a 1.0. So we're at 7011 square feet on a 7011 square foot lot. That number you see, a total building gross, shows you there. It's just about 6,000 square feet. Of course, that doesn't include your hallways and your common space and that stuff. Those are just the units themselves. And in terms of the units, we can probably go back up, and I can kind of walk you through the floor plans. If you go to maybe, sure, let's go up one more, Madam Ambassador. The ground floor. So ground floor, the first floor right there. Start with that unit. That's so that shows unit 1, and that is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's 1,156 square feet. And then level 2, which is just slightly below that, Madam Ambassador, right there. Yep, you'll see 3 units. So unit 2 in the front is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and that's 888 square feet. And then unit 3 and unit 4 are kind of running the long back of this along the bias. Those are both 2-bedroom, 2-bath, each 923 square feet. And here, the ambassador has brought us to the level 3 and roof, okay? And then level 3 contains 2 units. Unit 5, which is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and that's 1010 square feet. And then unit 6 is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and that's 1025 square feet. And the next slide should show you the elevations with bubbling on what changed in the project. Probably the most substantial change is there's now one additional parking space along the left side of the building that wasn't there previously. And then the remaining 7 parking spaces are just on surface parking lot as they were before. From the street, from looking at it, you are, you're looking at pretty much exactly what was there before. And then I think I mentioned the rear yard setback. The rear yard setback increased. So there were 3 is FAR. The rear yard setback increased by, or decreased by 9.8 feet. So now the setback's at 24 feet off the rear. So it came back a little bit more to encompass that 613 square feet I mentioned. And then as a result of that, it shifted the open space. So instead of having 422 square feet per unit, we have 266 square feet per unit. I just meant, I guess, may close by saying that so again, just to remind you, these are 6 home ownership units. 1 would be affordable. There would be some green planting in the front of the building, a small tree off to the left of the front, where we've been working with Councilor Anderson's office also on supporting a housing stabilization fund in addition to the affordable unit that we'd be doing there. I'll pause there, Madam Chair, and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Can you please describe the community process in terms of the initial support and then the increase of 2 additional dwelling units?
Yes. So, I mean, we have a separate partner who might be on the phone, Tashana Sullivan. She is also the general contractor. She has separately been doing outreach for the project, and she's been dedicated to that effort. So she has gone back to abutters. She might be on the call. I don't know if she wants to lift her hand or participate, but we had a meeting last night. She described that she had gone back to the abutters and shared with them the plans and had met with the various neighborhood groups and had done further outreach to make them aware of these changes that we're proposing today.
So I guess a follow-up question would be, make them aware versus are they in support? Did they have any objections, questions, concerns?
We do have I think most support, and I think they've come to the hearing here to participate. I know that there is definitely one person that was opposed to the original project, and that person, I'm sure, is going to be opposed to this project as well. But the remainder of the group, I understand, is in support and came here to speak. And we hope Councilor Anderson is on the call today. She expressed her support of the project as well.
Madam Chair, has Bob D'Amico seen the parking plan? And has he commented on the amenability?
I see Jeff's hand raised. Do you want to speak, Jeff?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. The original proposal for this came back to the BPDA back in July of 21. The original proposal was for 9 units and 9 parking spaces. And we had made a recommendation for denial without prejudice because it was too big. Largely, the green space was going to be paved over. I think they were taking out mature trees at the time, and we asked that parking to be reduced at that specific time, and that was for 9 spaces. It was deferred. It was originally supposed to be heard in July. It was deferred until September, where as Mr. Ross said, it was approved as 4 units. So it went from 9 to 4 from July to September. And then now they're asking for an additional 2 units and an additional parking space. This is just something, I just wanted to give a brief history to the board that it went from 9 to 9, 4 to 7, and now it's going to 6 to 8. So I just wanted to give some history on this proposed project.
That's helpful. Is Mr. D'Amico on? Or Norm, do you have any notes from him?
Don't know if he's on.
Madam Chair, I have Anna with her hand raised. I'm not sure if she's part of the team or.
Mr. Ross, is there an Anna on your team?
I don't believe there's an Anna on our team.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, Madam Chair, on the parking, just so you know, going to 8 keeps us within the, within the allowable zoning. It's a 1.0 ratio requirement for this part of the district.
Can you please just briefly comment again what has increased from the original variance?
Yes, yeah, really 3 main areas, Ms. Barroso. The FAR has increased from a 0.91 to a 1.0. That's an increase of 613 square feet. The rear yard has now decreased. The setback is now 24 feet. It decreased by about 9.8 feet. And the open space as a result of that decrease per unit went from 422 square feet to 266 square feet per unit.
And the envelope has stayed the same, the building envelope?
Yeah, the side yards are the same, the front yard is the same, the height is the same. It's just that bump out in the back.
Okay.
And one of the parking spaces came inside as well.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, is there public testimony, Francis?
I have no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve with BPDA design review.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a raised hand now.
Okay, let's take it.
Okay. Lee, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, this is Chung Lee from 165 Fremont Street in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm sorry for the lateness, but I'm not a techie, so the mute button didn't seem very obvious to me, so I apologize. But I'm calling in support of the 14 Skywood Street project. From what I know about the project to what it does, what it is today, and no one saw. The principal in this company, I truly believe in what he says that he's going to do for the neighborhood. I think what he's trying to do for 14 Skywood Street is to turn it into a much more livable and more community type of a neighborhood. So I really appreciate and I give.
What's your connection to this project? You're not in a butter. It doesn't sound like you're in a butter.
No, I'm just a resident of Boston. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other raised hands?
No other raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll continue with the motion. I believe Mr. Valencia made a motion that was seconded. And I just started calling a roll call. Stembridge, Mr. Stembridge.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Ms. Better Baraza.
I'm going to oppose the project just because I feel that when we hear board final arbiter cases, they typically tend to be minutia, very small, but I feel like there hasn't been a vetted out public process, and that's why I'm voting against it.
Thank you. Mr. Shepherd. I'm sorry, Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
No.
The chair also votes no. Motion does not carry. Okay. Mr. Javier, do we need another vote or is that?
Yeah, this is Javier, Madam Chair. At this point, you can ask for a dismissal without prejudice. If no motion is put forward, then it could be a straight denial at that point.
Okay. Does someone want to put forth the alternate motion?
I prefer a motion of denial without prejudice.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stembridge.
You know what?
Yeah.
Ms. Better Baraza.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next on the list, we have case BOA 1046403, the address of 515 East 2nd Street. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes, Tommy Noto.
Yes, can you introduce yourself and the project, what you're seeking today?
Good morning, Madam Chair. It's Tommy Noto, owner of 515, 519 East 2nd Street. We were approved by the board, BPDA, ZBA, had strong community support for roof decks and head houses. As we were going through the process, there was an individual on the BPDA that didn't want the head houses and they wanted hatches. This is obviously a violation of the building code, as we found out going through 1010 Mass Ave, and it's a safety issue, code issue for safe access. Our direct abutters in around, which I've taken pictures of, approximately 20 direct abutters within, 1,000 feet have all head houses. And we didn't know why when we went to the final design review,
we were denied the head houses. So we came back, we did some homework, went to 1010 Mass Ave, spoke with a few people, and they told us that it was against building code and that we should go to the final arbiter. So here we are today, ma'am.
Thank you. How many roof decks and head houses are you proposing?
They were, we are just proposing just one in the rear where the head, the hatches. We don't need all we don't need all 5 head houses. We could just get away with one and that would be fine. We're not greedy. It's more or less a safety issue for, God forbid something happens on the roof deck and they'd have to go through a hatch. It's not possible.
Madam Chair, can I ask for clarity? So you would be okay with 1 head house versus 6?
We, in the rear, yes, because we already started the building, and we're far along. We don't need the 6 head houses that come from each unit. We need just one in the rear where the hatch is now. Like I stated prior, there was a mishap with the BPDA, and someone pushed this along, and as our lawyers and a few people from 1010 looked at this, they said it's against building code. And
okay, so with the 1 head house, with the 1 head house, are you going to design a common deck for all the units? Okay.
It'd be 1 common deck. There'd be 6 private decks off 1 common deck.
Okay, and then you still have the elevator, and then you'll still have the elevator overrun? Okay, I don't have further questions. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Right, any other questions from the board? Okay, is there any public testimony on this?
We did have strong neighborhood support.
Francis?
Yes, I see. I have no attendees with their hands raised. I just have Jeff.
Jeff Hampton?
Yes.
Do you want to speak, Jeff?
Yeah, I just want to clarify the record, Madam Chair, that this was not something that the BPDA pushed. This is in the actual decision from the Board of Appeal that says, I will read you exactly what it says.
We do have a record of Mr. Matt Martin on email.
So subject to BPDA design review to replace head houses with hatch access. So it's part of the decision, Madam Chair, so they'd have to remove the proviso.
Got it. When was this approved, Jeff? Do you have that?
It was April 12th, 2021 is the approval date. It was heard on February 2nd of 2021.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve the request with a proviso that it would be to work with BPDA to design 1 head house and the elevator overrun is adequate.
And the removal of the previous proviso for the head.
Yes, to replace. And then just to give context to the board, I was able to review the drawings and the past Zoom recording. There was just major concern that there were 6 being proposed.
Okay.
And my understanding is that that would not be within the context in terms of the architectural character of the vicinity. So this is why I'm putting forward this motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better-Brazza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Mr. Langham?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have groundwater conservation overlay district. We have 2 companion cases. First being case BOA 1442390, the address being 238 Commonwealth Avenue. And the companion case to that is BOA 1442391, with the address being 240 Commonwealth Avenue. Is the applicant or representative present?
Is Mr. McDonough here? Yes?
Yes, I am.
Great. Can you walk us through your request real quick?
So I think the reason why we're here is for the G-COD, so the groundwater. We've got a recharge system that's been designed and I believe approved going in the back of the building to catch roof water runoff. I'm not sure what else, what other information you need from me.
Do you, is Mr. Simonelli on?
Yes, Madam Chair, good morning. Members of the board, Christian Simonelli, Boston Groundwater Trust, and we have both the Boston Water and Sewer approval and no harm letters from the applicant.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge.
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to the hearing scheduled for 9:30 a.m. Excuse me. At this time, I will ask if there are any withdrawals or deferrals from any of these cases on the list at this time. Then with that, we will move forward. The first case on the list is BOA 1422181. The address being 1 Westbrook Street. Is the applicant or the representative present?
John McConga here with Dan Peruzzi, our architect, who will take the lead in the presentation.
Thank you.
John, do you want to do any kind of intro on Boston Scores?
Just at a very high level, so Boston Scores is a nonprofit based here in Boston. We've been providing programs across the city in East Boston for 25 years. This project is to renovate a existing athletic field to provide our free and low-cost programs to local youth in the East Boston and surrounding communities. We expect to be able to serve over 1,000 students each year upon completion of the project.
Great. And the site plan that you see in front of you is, these are the proposed changes. You see one large soccer field that can be divided up into 3 smaller practice fields. Lower left is a small soccer field, and in the far right, another soccer field. And then right up above that, that field on the right is the actual structure where there'll be locker rooms and toilet facilities for the participants. There's a small play area at the bottom of the site, so the middle. And at the top of the site is going to be a small community garden area. I'm waving my cursor, as you can see my cursor. I know you can't look at it. And to the left-hand side of the site is planned parking spaces for participants and their parents and so forth. Let's look at the next slide. It shows the planting. There should be a slide with the actual building itself. You can see the building itself in the middle. Right, this is the building itself. Right now, the building is planned. It's in a floodplain. We're looking for relief on the height limit from 15 feet to 18 feet. 18 feet is the top of the building, and that is to get the mechanicals out of the floodplain. And you can see on that floor plan the facilities, the toilet facilities. Primarily, there's a storage building where they'll store maintenance equipment for the field itself. And then there are the mechanicals you can see on the plan on the left. Those are the mechanicals that we're hoping to get out of the floodplain. And that's why we're looking for the relief in height from 15 to 18. So we're building in a floodplain, it's the building height, and also it's a private recreational field in a residential district that we're hoping for.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yes, quick question. Is the field going to be open only to your members or to the community in general?
So the field will be primarily used for participants in programs that are operated by Boston Scores. The space is cohabitated with the Salesian Boys and Girls Club, so also participants from the Salesian Boys and Girls Club. It's also immediately adjacent to the Brook Public Charter School, and they will use the space for physical education classes. While it's a gated space and it will be locked every evening, we are making it available occasionally to the public so they can use the community gardens. We've incorporated some features such as a playground area, a walking track, some picnic tables. So we don't have a specific commitment to opening it to the public, but for the first time, we do plan on making it available for occasional public use.
So you will be open to make the space available to the public during the weekends?
The current intention is to have it open to the public on weekends in the mornings and then occasional times over the course of the week, but we don't have a final schedule in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time the Mayor's Office likes to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS hosted an abutters meeting for this project on January 12th, 2023. More than a dozen abutters were in attendance. Many abutters voiced concerns regarding water runoff and flooding of the abutting properties. Abutters also voiced concerns regarding the loss of parking when games are taking place, as well as vehicles driving through private streets to get to the fields. Some of the abutters in attendance, however, did voice support for the project, as they said this would bring a good space for young residents to stay active. The project presented to the Harborview Neighborhood Association on 2 different occasions. Some members stated that their properties have been flooded since applicants needed to do work on the site. Residents also had questions about the lighting at night and concerns about noise and parking. Ultimately, the association voted to support this project with 24 residents in favor and 11 in opposition. With that information, we defer to the judgment of this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Madam, I do have 2 raised hands.
Okay, thank you.
Gail, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Gail Miller. I am a resident at 232 Orient Ave, East Boston. There's recent environmental concerns, and I'm just curious about what is the turf being composed of? Is it going to be natural grass, or is it going to be the I'll call it fake, whatever? There's a big concern these days in neighborhoods about the pollution and the sense of not being able to be kind of absorbed into the groundwater, and then the PFAS that are coming off these.
Thank you. So are you in support or opposition, or you just have these questions?
Well, I have this question, and it would depend on what the turf is, whether or not I would support or not.
Thank you. You have a second raised hand?
Yes, I do. Sebastian, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Sebastian Parra from Councilor Valeda's office. I'm here to show the support of the councilor for this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have Minor.
Yep. Mr. Perez?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Minor Perez, representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of hundreds of our members, want to go on record in support of this project.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy's office.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Tom Mannion of Councilor Eric Murphy's office. At this time, Councilor Murphy would also like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we take a vote, would the proponent like to respond to that question about the turf?
It is artificial turf. It is not natural grass. My understanding about the composition of the material is that it's PFAS-free. I'd also remind everyone that this is going through the Conservation Commission process now.
Thank you. Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, go ahead.
Go ahead, Giovanni.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I think this project is going to provide a big benefit to the participants from the programs, also to the community at large. I really hope that the proponent can find ways to partner with local organizations and use the space and the fields during the weekends for the local communities. And with that, I would like to put forward a motion to approve the project.
May I have a second?
Barraza, second.
Okay, Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
So much.
Next on the list, we have two companion cases. The first being case BOA 1405496 with the address of 834 East 4th Street. Along with that, we have case BOA 1405494, the address being 836 East 4th Street. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes, Mr. Stenbridge, thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. My client is Stuart Mullally, who is proposing to change 836 East 4th Street from a single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling and add a new dormer and rear addition. He is also proposing a new three-story, two-family dwelling at 834 East 4th Street. The size of the site is 6,642 square feet. The zoning district is MFR, multifamily residential, under Article 68. With respect to the units for 836 East 4th Street, which is the existing building, that is currently a single family with 4 bedrooms that would be transformed, again, by means of a dormer and rear addition into 2 units. Unit 1 would be a 3-bedroom of approximately 1,748 square feet. Unit 2 would also be a 3-bedroom of approximately 2,106 square feet. The new building at 834 East 4th Street would be also a 2-family dwelling. Unit 1 would be a 3-bedroom of approximately 1,919 square feet. Unit 2, a 3-bedroom of approximately 2,286 square feet. Each unit would have 3 off-street parking spaces. The FAR here would be approximately 1.44, whereas 2.0 is allowed by zoning. 834 East 4th Street would rise to a maximum height of 30 feet. 836 would rise to a maximum height of 31 feet 10 inches. The maximum allowable height here is 40 feet. The violations and requested zoning relief are rather minimal. For 834, there's a cited violation for an extension into a rear yard of 1,000 or more square feet. This cited violation, frankly, does not really make sense since there is no extension here to an existing building. Article 68, Section 8.4, which gives rise to this cited violation, relates to an extension to an existing building into a rear yard area. This is a new building at 834. It's an ERT application. There's also a cited violation for 834 for maneuverability for the parking area. For 836, which is the existing single family, which is being converted into a 2-family, there's a cited violation for roof structure restrictions. There's no roof deck being proposed. This violation is cited because the proposed dormer would change the roof profile. And under Article 68, rooftop extension section, if a roof profile is changed, there is a citation not merely for a roof deck. There's a cited violation on this refusal letter for insufficient rear yard setback. The plans examiner actually cites a requirement of 40-foot minimum rear setback on the refusal letter. That is, in fact, incorrect. The minimum rear setback here is 20 feet. The provided setback is 26.3 feet, making the cited violation erroneous. There's a cited violation for an addition of more than 1,000 square feet to the rear of an existing building, which in this case is correct because there is an existing building. There's also a cited violation of 2 buildings on a single lot. These are going to be condominium units in one condominium association, and my client elected to not do 2 things. One, connect the buildings above a central driveway, which just would have increased the massing of the structure. And he did decide to provide a single driveway with a single curb cut, providing access to the parking, 6 parking spaces for both buildings. Because of those facts and because the maneuverability area here for the units also would require moving between what would have been 2 lots if he subdivided this, which is itself a zoning violation, my client elected to not subdivide and to incur the violation of 2 buildings on the same lot. There's also a maneuvering violation cited for 836. I'd want to point out that there is a maneuverability area of a few hundred square feet at the ground level below the addition to the rear of 836 East 4th Street, which should provide for adequate maneuverability for the 6 cars, and this does satisfy the off-street parking requirements for the 3 additional units under Article 68. With that, Madam Chair, I'll pause and I'll take any questions that board members may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay.
No questions.
Hearing none, may I take public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Our office held a butters meeting on November 30th. Over 20 butters were in attendance. The proponent answered questions that arose during the meeting. There was a request for a shadow study to be done. This was completed and residents were given the results. One resident from N Street thought that it seemed reasonable. We understand that they were in contact with the City Point Neighborhood Association. And with that, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Good morning, Madam of the Chair, members of the board. Ana Calderon from Council President Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support based on feedback from neighbors and good faith compromises on both sides. The councilor also requests that the developer continue to work with the neighbors on any quality of life issues that arise during the construction phase. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, for City Council at Large, Michael Flaherty. The councilor would acknowledge the communal effort that went into drafting Article 68. However, there are projects that do have merit. This is one of those. The councilor would echo the sentiments of Council President Flynn's office. I'd like to go on record in support.
Mr. Mannion?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Tom Mannion of Councilor Eric Murphy's office. At this time, Councilor Murphy would also like to go in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. That's his other raised hands.
There's also Luann on the panel. Is Luann?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Luann O'Connor, President of the City Point Neighborhood Association. At this point in time, we will go on record as non-opposition, as we were unable to actually vote on the project pending a second abutters meeting, which did not happen. So we will go with non-opposition at this time.
Thank you.
And there are no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I ask, did BTD review this in terms of maneuverability and parking? Because the parking layout seems a little bit narrow in terms of maneuverability.
I'm not sure, is Mr. D'Amico on? If not, Mr. Stenbridge, do you have any notes from him?
No, I don't, Madam Chair.
Okay, so possibly a proviso in a motion. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with two proviso, one being BPDA design review on the site planning to ensure a safe pedestrian walkway to the parking space. And then the other proviso is to work with BTD on the parking layout and maneuverability and amount of parking spaces.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1337606 with the address of 520 Dudley Street. Is the applicant or the representative present?
Dave Tregorth is here, along with Sandra McCroom, Executive Director of Children's Services of Roxbury, and John Padmore, the architect from Mass Design. Sandra's quickly going to say a few things just about who Children's Services of Roxbury is, and then I'll run through the presentation quickly.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for having us today. As Dave said, my name is Sandra McCroom. I'm the President and CEO of Children's Services of Roxbury. And you can go to the next slide. CSR, as we are affectionately called, has been in the community for 50 years. And we reside here at 504-520 Dudley Street. We're the largest Black-led nonprofit in the Commonwealth, and we serve 6,000 people across Massachusetts. We're located out of 4 cities across Massachusetts. Of those 6,000 people that we serve, 5,000 of those people reside in the Boston area. Our mission is to create peace of mind for children and families in Massachusetts, and we say that because if you don't have peace of mind, it's hard to, take the next step if you're homeless to, figure out your housing, etc. So for 50 years, we've been a lifeboat for the children and family that we serve. We have 5 departments through which we provide as many as 20 programs under our housing, family stabilization, affordable childcare, mental health, and youth development. And given the time, I won't go into all of those, but they are comprehensive programming that we serve to children and families. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to, I'm sorry, let me go to the next slide, please. Sorry. Yeah, I'll turn this back over to Dave.
Thank you, Sandra. So location is 504-520 Dudley Street, close to the Nubian Square bus station, just down from Dudley Street. Next slide. And you can just see a perspective of 2 historic brick buildings that are right along Dudley Street. Next slide. These were originally, I think, carriage and trolley barns that have been offices for quite some time. Youth Build was here. They're 2 distinct different buildings. Next slide. Children's Services of Roxbury purchased the buildings several years ago and are starting a renovation project with hope for approval here today to achieve several project goals that you can see: sustainability, accessibility, bringing daylight, and most importantly, connecting these 2 buildings. Next slide. You can see just how these are 2 different buildings. There's a playground in the back. Early education is a major component in this building currently that we want to expand on. There's also a very small parking lot in the back. This site is immediately adjacent to the Shirley Eustace House, which is in support. Next slide. And you can just see we're creating this sort of center atrium that will connect these 2 buildings fully. Right now, there's really no connection. Next slide. Also opening it up to the street, there's very little sort of street access into these buildings as well. So we want to make this really a community center that it already serves the community, but make it even more open and welcoming. Next slide. You can keep moving. Just more So this is the after. You can see the atrium, glass atrium in the middle. You can see an extension of an annex that's on the back. There's already an annex back there that's cinder block and sort of shed-like construction that will be replaced with, a building or an extension that's fully integrated into the floor plan. Next slide, you can see the renovated playground area, sort of an event space and parking lot that's going to do double duty, serve as a parking lot in the off hours, and when there's events, creating a connection with the Shirley Eustace House, which is right across from Rockford Street. And you can see that atrium between the two buildings that's created. Next slide. Just some indoor renderings. Next slide. It's the front porch, as it's called. And you can see that atrium on the left that's going to be created between these two historic buildings. Next slide. The front facade, which will be just much more transparent and visible to what's going on inside. Next slide. And just looking down Dudley Street on this one as well. Just in terms of what this translates into, right now these are 5 parcels that will be consolidated, cuts across the multifamily along the front and the 3-family along the back, along Burrell and Rockford Streets. Next slide. And you can see where we're adding square footage. So we've got the rear extension that's sort of facilitating that connection to the rear annex. And then you've got the atrium that's also coming out towards Dudley Street. Obviously not going over the property line, but coming out to create that connection between these two buildings. So this is just all of what we're adding to the building. Next slide. And it creates these variances that we're requesting: FAR, front yard insufficient, side yard insufficient, off-street parking insufficient, and extension of a non-conforming use. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you both. Any questions from the board? Okay. Yes, Ms. Benabraza?
Oh, no questions.
Okay, thank you. With that, may I have public testimony?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Keisha Santana with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. An abutters meeting was held on November 9th, 2022, where abutters were in support and all clarifying questions were answered. On January 26th, they presented to the SDC committee, that's Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative. So they presented their project plans, and DSNI has provided a letter of support for this project. And at this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, my apologies. Lorraine from Councilor Fernandez, Tanya Fernandez.
Hi, I am here today representing Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson. The councilor is familiar with the work of Children's Services of Roxbury. She's familiar with this proposal and very much supports it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Motion for approval. I'd like to make a motion for approval.
With BPDA design review?
BPDA design review, excuse me.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Benabraza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Mr. Langham?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, for the next case, I will read this into the record and I will recuse myself.
And I will recuse myself as well.
Okay, so that's a five.
On this before.
Just to tell folks, the proponent, that's a 5-member board, so you'll need all 5 to support the project. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Stenbridge.
Madam Chair, this is Javier as well. Because it is a 5-member board, you can offer them whether to defer or not. It's up to them if they want to continue or.
Got it. So to the proponent, you also have the option of an administrative deferral. Hearing none, I'll have Mr. Stenbridge read it into the record.
This would be case BOA 1380087, the address being 2085 Washington Street. This is also an Article 8. We've gone through the Article 80 process. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes.
Okay, so we have two members recusing, so I just make that offer again if you want to take an administrative deferral. If not, please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Intia Ambrogi Isaza. I am the Vice President of Real Estate at Madison Park Development Corporation. I'm joined here by our partners at Trinity Financial. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board for having us today. I do just want to set this up by, you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. This is part of a larger Parcel 10 designation from the BPDA. It is still a ground, it's still a ground lease through the BPDA and will continue to be so in the future. Thanks. You can go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, 3. Thank you. Great. So here you can see the sort of larger site of Parcel 10. This is something that we've been working on as Madison Park for over a decade. We were happy to do the renovations, the new construction of Tropical Foods as phase 1 of Parcel 10, and then the renovation of the historic building at 2101 Washington as phase 2, which also included residential and commercial space. This is the last part of it, phase 3 at 2085 Washington, where we will be providing 96 homes, and our colleagues at Trinity Financial will speak to the details of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kenan Bigby with Trinity Financial. On this slide, you see the proposed final phase of development as outlined by Intia. In that corner, we are proposing a new residential building. That building will also entail maintaining the surface parking that is required to service both Tropical Foods and 2101 Washington Street. Parking for the newly proposed building will be one level of parking below grade. Next slide, please. The proposed program for this project includes 96 units of housing, including both affordable rental and affordable home ownership opportunities. There are 64 rental units and 32 home ownership units. The project includes significant infrastructure investments, including a new Gateway Plaza at the corner of Melnia Cass and Washington Street. This plaza will preserve existing trees and add new greenery to the square. It will also include public art installations, outdoor seating, and other amenities for the community. In addition to the residential uses, we are proposing an arts-focused use with community art gallery and artist workspaces fronting onto that plaza and onto Washington Street, activating the street frontage. The project will also include building amenities for the residents of the proposed building, including fitness center, business center, and community meeting rooms. In addition to the bricks and mortar program, Trinity Madison has a long history and commitment to local and diverse hiring that we will proceed and pursue aggressively on this project. And then finally, this is the culmination of a long and inclusive community process. Next slide. Here you see just a sampling of the meetings that we've been through during the planning process here, including meetings with the District 7 City Councilor, Roxbury Neighborhood Council, the Project Review Committee as part of our Article 80 Large Project Review, 2085 Washington Street, a butter meeting through the Office of Neighborhood Services, Friends of Melnia Cass, Boston Landmarks Commission, Roxbury Main Streets, and finally Tropical Foods, who, as Intia mentioned, is a partner in the overall redevelopment of Parcel 10, starting with that first phase. Next slide. So I will turn it over to Peter Lubershane of Klein Hornig, attorney for the project, just to walk through the variances that we are seeking for the project.
Hi all, Peter Lubershane of Klein Hornig LLP at 101 Arch Street in Boston. As you can see on this slide, we are seeking variances for the FAR, the building height, and the rear yard. And as Kenan just noted, this project is under Article 80 review, so along with street wall, continuity, and parking are both included under that. If you can move to the next slide. You can see here the variances that we're seeking. There, as of right, there's a 2.0 FAR allowed, and we will be including 4.5. The maximum building height is 55 feet. Here, in order to accommodate the additional housing units, it's 120 feet. And then the rear yard, it's 20 feet, but here there would be none as it would back up onto the parking lot. If you can move on to the next slide. I believe that our architect is available to speak as well.
Yes, Peter, thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Fernando Domenech. I'm principal of DHK Architects in Boston. You're looking here at the first floor plan of the proposed building. We've designed this building, as has been mentioned earlier, as a gateway, a new gateway into Nubian Square. The first floor shows you essentially an L-shaped building that rises for 5 floors and then it streamlines itself to a single building running north and south. This plan shows you the new proposed plaza at the corner of Melnia Casa and Washington Street, the trees to be preserved, the new trees. It shows you access to the main entrance to the apartment complex. It shows you on the upper portion of the drawing some amenity spaces. It shows you on the wing that goes out to Washington Street the artist galleries and artist workspaces, and it shows you the access to the parking below on the left-hand side of the slide. There's a secondary entrance to the lobbies from the lower part of the drawing, the drive from Washington Street. Next slide, please. This shows you a typical floor plan on the lower 5 levels. As you can see, and as I mentioned, it's an L-shaped building for these first 5 floors. Next, please. At the 6th floor, we have a landscape roof deck as an additional amenity to the project. Next, please. And as we go up from the 7th floor on, we have this kind of single streamlined building that runs north-south along the site. As Kenan mentioned, from 7th floor on, it's condominium units. Up to the 6th floor, it's rental units. Next, please. And as you can see, this is what we hope to build in the short-coming future. The portion of the building that runs north-south rises straight through from the lower floors, glazed and inviting first floor that faces out onto Melnia Casa and into Washington Street and into the plaza. And then it rises up. We expect that this be a series of cement fiber panelized building that can be seen in the elevation with a lot of glazing and a lot of bay windows and plenty of open views out back into Boston. And then the lower portion of the building, we've tried to be more sympathetic to the prevailing architecture along Washington Street, so that portion of the building is a brick building, and in this case we're showing a grayish brick building. And again, a similar attitude of a very open first floor to engage with the street activity. Thank you.
Hi, and this is just Intia one more time from Madison Park Development Corporation. I do just want to reiterate that over the past 10 years, we've worked closely with the BPDA and with Tropical Foods, and in the prior phase of the project, the parking levels required to maintain the business operations at the site were delineated many years ago with the BPDA through a ground lease agreement, and all of those parking requirements for the ground level parking that will exist are being respected and held true in this process. Thank you.
So just a quick question on that parking point. We did receive a letter from Tropical Foods expressing sort of concern about the parking situation and the agreement. I mean, can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We've been we listed some of the meeting dates with Tropical Foods. I don't think that encompasses all of them either. We've definitely been in close communication with Tropical Foods. We understand that they have concerns about the parking at their business. It is going to be a reduction in the amount of parking that they currently have. That is true. But it holds true to the original commitments that were made on the project for what parking would be available at the end of the phase 3 of the project, which was always an envisioned component when Tropical Foods originally decided to partner with us on the site to bring them a full-size grocery store building at the back of the site.
And this is Kenan Bigby. I would just add to that, we are, as Intia mentioned, aware of concerns raised by Tropical Foods, and we have addressed that by including in our development budget some proposed mitigation in terms of financial assistance, as well as design and technical aspects to the project to try to address those concerns. Additionally, we are working with the BPDA to schedule a meeting between the three parties, Tropical Foods, BPDA, and the Madison Trinity team to continue to identify ways to mitigate concerns that Tropical Foods may have here. We recognize that Tropical Foods is a big piece of the Nubian Square community. They are a partner in this overall redevelopment of Parcel 10, and so we do want to be good neighbors to them and are pledging to continue to work with them to address any concerns that they may have.
Thank you. Ms. Platt, do you want to respond to that from BPDA?
Hi, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair, and apologies. I had a few computer issues earlier, so I apologize for not being able to speak to this earlier. I just had a couple of comments from the BPDA side. So Parcel 10 had gone through a robust Article 80 process, and it did receive board approval on May 12, 2022. I am the project manager for the BPDA for 2085 Washington Street, and do want to recognize Kenan and Intia's comments as correct in that sense. And I also just wanted to add another piece from, again, the BPDA point of view. So the project is located within the planning boundaries of Plan Nubian Square, which was a process established in 2016 and does meet and abide by Plan Nubian Square as well. Thank you very much.
Any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a question. Two questions, actually. The first one is, are you planning to have photovoltaics or solar panels on the roof?
Yes, part of the request for the height variance is so that we can locate photovoltaic panels on both roofs.
Thank you. And the second question for Antia, I am really pleased to see that there are affordable homeownership units and rentals. Could you please talk about the income levels for both the homeownership and the rental units?
Yeah, I'll jump in to answer that. I know you asked Intia the question, but I have those statistics right in front of me. Kenan Bigby again with Trinity Financial. We are partnering with Madison Park on this development. So as I mentioned, there are 64 rental units. 16 of those are at 30% AMI. 4 of those are at 50% AMI. 22 of those are at 60% AMI. An additional 22 are at 80% AMI. For the 32 home ownership units, 15 of those are at 80% AMI. Another 15 are at 100% AMI. And then we have 2 unrestricted market rate units.
2.
2.
Okay, and what is the plan for those 2 units? It's just interesting to see that the majority of the project is restricted, but there are 2.
Yeah, so the generation of that particular unit mix is a couple of things. One, we're using Commonwealth Builders financing in partnership with Mass Housing and the City of Boston. And there are project limits on the amount of dollars that a particular project can raise. And so in utilizing those dollars, we were able to write down the cost of the 30 units, but didn't have a way to achieve that write down for the remaining 2 units. So that's one answer. Additionally, we do think that income mixing is important and wanted to have a market rate component, albeit a little bit symbolic given the overall unit mix, but we do think it's important to include housing opportunities at all income levels. So that's how we ended up where we did.
Madam Chair, no more questions from me.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I take public testimony?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Keisha Santana with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This project went through the Article 80 process, but they still decided to hold an abutters meeting to notify abutters. And this one was on September 27th, where abutters who attended showed support for the project and appreciated the opportunity for affordable homeownership. No concerns were brought to our office and no general community support. And at this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donovan from Mayor's Office of Housing, please.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Stephen Donovan. I'm a housing development officer with the Mayor's Office of Housing. On behalf of the Mayor's Office of Housing, I would like to go on record in support of the 2085 Washington project and the engagement and work being done by the Trinity Financial and Madison Park Development Corporation team. And I will also note that the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Preservation Committee have awarded funding to support this development of affordable and rental homeownership housing at 2085 Washington. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, my apologies. I have 2 raised hands. Let's see. Randy, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please. Randy?
Sorry, yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Randy Gary. I'm from Tropical Foods, the direct abutter to the 2085 project. And we have submitted some paperwork for the board stating our opposition at this point due to a few reasons. Number one is parking. Back when we had redone our building several years ago, that we had a legal agreement with Madison Park as they were the designee for the what is now the Building B. It was supposed to be only 5 stories high, and it was going to have parking ratios involved with it with their tenants. And we feel that they are not holding to that bargain, and that this building is far too large. And we are very concerned about the impact of the size of this building and its parking will have upon our business. And I would also like to add, I don't recall being invited to the abutters meeting that the mayor's office had just mentioned. We have had several meetings with Madison and Trinity, and we have voiced our opposition to them for some time now. So I just want to get it on record, and I'm here to answer any questions, should there be any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. And that's all, Madam Chair.
I see.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Mina Perez,
representing the Carpenters Union on behalf of hundreds of union carpenters. I want to go on record support. This project will not only help to alleviate the great needs of housing, but also home ownership that's greatly needed in the greater Dudley neighborhood. And kudos to Trinity Financial for an outstanding outreach to the community and working with the community. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I see Ms. Wheeler.
Hi, I am representing City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson, and the councilor met several times with the proponents of this project. The project is bringing many benefits to the community, including artist space, gallery space, and the most important of which is affordable housing. This is the first time that we heard of concerns by the Tropical Food Store, and we're just going, and so the councilor supports the project, but we hope that the discussions between the abutters would continue through the BPDA process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, City Council at Large, Michael Flaherty. Taking the Tropical Foods abutters concerns into consideration, the council would like the board to take those into consideration and those concerns to be heard going through the process, going forward through the process. However, at this particular point, due to the council's chairmanship of the CPA in support of affordable housing, the council could go on record support.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion. This project is providing important benefits to the local community, including the art space, the plaza, the better sidewalks, but especially for me, the number of affordable homes for homeownership and rentals. So with that, I would like to put forward a motion to approve, also asking the proponent to keep working with the abutters to figure it out the best way to manage parking. But my motion is to approve the project.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stembridge, oh no, P, sorry. Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Okay, next we have case BOA 141-1317, the address being 16 to 18A Warren Place. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. John Moran, Alpine Advisory Services, with the mailing address of 130 Beach Road, Orleans, Mass. Madam Chair, this is a project that involves the demolition of a vacant 2.5-story building at 18 Warren Place and the demolition of garages and outbuildings at 16 Warren Place, combining the two lots to have a gross square footage of 9,627 square feet. The project is to erect 4 townhouse units with garage parking on the combined lot, which is now or will be known as 16-18A Warren Place. If we could stop at this slide, the project location is at the end of Warren Place, where it terminates at a private way known as Prever Place, which has a width of less than 11 square feet. It runs from Warren Place to Dudley at 195 Dudley Street. What is being proposed is 4 units in a structure that would be 3 stories high with garage parking for each unit. The total square footage, habitable space of 3 of the 4 units would be 1,500 square feet, and contain 3 bedrooms. The smaller unit at the intersection of Trevor Place would be 1,388 square feet with 2 bedrooms. The project would entail a roof decks and rear decks for open space. Each garage would contain 1 automobile plus bike storage. If we can focus bike storage and utilities and storage of trash. The aspect of the garage parking has been strongly endorsed by neighbors, and by the community during the community site visits and before the neighborhood association, the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative. If we could scroll down. As I go along, I would ask at this point to go through the variances sought, which are dimensional, and then I would ask On to run through the rest of the slides for the project. We are seeking relief, but we're cited by Article 50, Section 24, use regulations, and we respectfully suggest that that section is applicable to community facilities sub-districts, and the project is in a residential 3F 4,000 district and thus does not apply. We need relief from floor area ratio. The code specifies 8, and we are seeking 1.5. The front yard code specifies 10, but the modal setback on the street is 4, and our setback would be 1. The side yard is insufficient. The side facing 14 is 3 feet, and the side facing the Preble Place is 1 foot. The rear yard's code requirement is 30. We are requesting relief to have 22.7 square feet. I might add the motivation for the owners who are 50-plus year residents of Roxbury is to develop these units and to turn them over to home ownership of their sons and daughter, and so that they may remain within the community and have a economic vested interest in the greater Roxbury community. We have filed letters of support, 5 letters of support from immediate abutters, including 14 Warren Place and 195 Dudley to the rear. A petition signed by 18 residents have been filed in support. The Urban League, which is at the head of Warren Avenue, has signed and submitted a letter of support noting their support for the proposed garage parking. The Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative has filed a support letter with the board, again noting their support of the proposed parking. Bond, if you could now go through the project in detail.
Sure, thank you, John. Good morning, members of the board. Bond Worthington, architect for the project. Address 110A, Inman Street, Cambridge, Mass. If we could just go back a couple of slides, we'll start with the ground floor plan right there. That was great. Thanks. So facing Warren Place is at the bottom of the page here. Facing the street, we have an entrance for each of the units, garage space for each of the units, and then in the back of the footprint here, we have a family room for each unit and patio space, exterior open space for each unit. As John mentioned, 3 of the units on the left side of the page, on the left of the building, are identical, with a unique unit on the right side, which is slightly smaller due to the shape of the lot. If we could advance to the next slide, please. Okay, moving up into the building, this is the first floor plan. Here's where we have living space and a bedroom and a bath for each of the units. If we could move up another slide, please. Okay, and then the third floor level, this is where we have a bedroom for each unit and a rear balcony for the rear bedrooms, which are 3 of them are en suite. And then That balcony will be contributing to our open space. If we could move up one more slide, please. And here we have a private roof deck for each unit, also contributing to open space. And we have mechanical units for the building, which will be screened. Okay, if we could move up, thank you. We're proposing a small underground utility room at the back of the structure, in the back of the lot, below a patio. If we could move one more slide, please. Okay, and here are the exterior elevations. At the bottom right, we have the Warren Place elevation. We have bay bump outs, and we see the front doors that we talked about and garage doors. And then the two side elevations are on the left side of the page, and the rear elevation showing the rear balcony at level 3 and the top floor balcony. And I think there's one more slide after this. Just a few exterior views of the project showing that what the project will be like, some traditional details, and the massing of the project as it comes back into the site, and views from the Veer Place and views from Warren Place as you come down the street on the bottom of the page here. Okay, that's the extent of, I believe, all the slides. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we'd be open to comments and questions unless Ian Correll, the owner, would like to contribute.
I think we can open it up to questions if does the board have any?
Yes, could you please show again the site plan for the first floor? Madam Ambassador.
Up one more, there you go.
Thank you. So the unit on the right with that shape is interesting. And there is the living room. I see that there is a tiny window, but the window is behind the door to the right. See? So if the door is open, that bedroom or that room doesn't have any natural light coming in.
Well, we're still looking at the fenestration and the doors. It's possible that at the very back of the room that door could be a glass door. It's possible that there's a window in the stairwell as well that would provide light into the space.
Yes, I was looking especially at that corner because the space is very tight and just thinking about light and air. So that caught my attention.
Yeah, understood. There'll also be mechanical ventilation for these units.
Okay, and for the parking, do you have to open for curb cuts, right?
Yes.
Right. John, do you want to speak on that point?
There are existing curb cuts. We would be enlarging them. During both the site meeting and during the presentation to the Dudley Street Initiative, the community was in support of the curb cuts and the proposed parking.
Okay, final question there. What is the ventilation system for the garage? Because the garage is at the same level of those family rooms or living rooms. So if the car is on, what are all the fumes going to exit the building or the gases from the cars?
That's a fair question. We haven't gotten into the full mechanical, electrical, plumbing design, but we could potentially propose an ERV that would satisfy fresh air requirements for the garage. Everything will be to code. This is a zoning set. We'll be submitting full construction plans once zoning is approved.
Okay, thank you.
I might add that egress from a garage into a bedroom is prohibited, and the entryway is not into a bedroom, but into a family room. But again, ventilation will be addressed.
Thank you. Can you confirm, so right now you're proposing four separate curb cuts, and how many are existing now?
One is existing.
One is existing?
The one existing is a curb cut with the full width of 16. I might add that this is at the end of Warren Place, and that when it joins Trevor Place, that is a private way. So in a sense, the Warren Place dead ends.
On your plot plan, it actually shows a smaller curb cut, and on the Google Earth view, it shows one curb cut that is not the length of the property.
Then I misspoke. I apologize.
Okay. I mean, those were my concerns as well, in terms of you're so close to a transit stop, like Roxbury Crossing is a 15-minute walk, from the property. Is there a reason why you're including one parking space for each of the townhouse units?
That is the zoning requirement, and it is likely that occupants would have a vehicle. Street parking is limited on the street. Abutters were actually happy that additional street parking wouldn't be taken up by these dwellings, but and as John mentioned, it is at the end of Warren Place, and Pavir Place is a very narrow private way.
Jeff, if you're still on from BPDA, might be able to speak to this better, but it sounds like he's also, BPDA is also suggesting, one entrance for all of the cars versus creating 4 separate curb cuts.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We recommended denial without prejudice, just to what the board and Ms. Meta-Barraza brought up, that 4 curb cuts is not acceptable from our point of view. We prefer 1, and also that takes away really from a pedestrian experience in front of that building. So if the board is to see fit to approve, we would ask that there be 1 curb cut for the off-street parking, and that there is significant design review, especially when you get up to the roof, when you take a look at the screening and buffering of the mechanicals. From different vantage points, it almost looks like it's another floor. I know it's not, but it looks like it could be softened a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Would you be open to that in terms of working with 1 curb cut? It is a 3F4000, so although you're right that there's a 1-to-1 unit ratio, you are increasing the density on this lot to propose 4 units.
Yes, we would be open to design review.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't have further questions.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, can I have public testimony?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Keisha Santana with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. An abutters meeting was held on November 29th, 2022, where there weren't abutters in attendance, but there are support letters that were sent from residents. The applicants met with DSNI on January 26, 2023, where DSNI provided a letter of support with the condition that the team continues to engage the community to resolve any matters that impact the community with relation to construction, traffic, trash, cleanliness, and any related matters. And at this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no raised hands.
With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion of approval with BPDA design review paying special attention to the ground floor design to ensure a friendly pedestrian experience by only having, I guess this is a proviso, by only having 1 curb cut that is 10 feet in width.
Thank you. May I have a second? Is that a second?
Yes, second.
Thank you. Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Meta-Barraza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
I'd like to vote no. I appreciate Ms. Meta-Barraza's efforts to work with the applicant, but I just have too many concerns about the vehicles backing up, especially that last vehicle. that would have to account for 2 streets when backing out, but I would rather just see more work done on this one, so I'm voting no.
Thank you. Mr. Valencia?
Same reasons as Ms. Whitwell, I vote no.
Mr. Langham?
Yes.
The chair also votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case VOA 1392224. The address being 150 to 160 William T. Morrissey Boulevard. This is also an Article 80 proposal process. And is the applicant or their representative present?
Yeah.
We are. Sir, members of the board, my name is Paula Devereaux. I'm an attorney at Pierce Atwood on 100 Summer Street in Boston. With me is Michael Hoyle, who's the Senior Vice President for Administration, Finance, and Planning. I just want to let you know why we're here. This is for an addition for Boston College High School on Morrissey Boulevard. We have been before you before. We were last here in April last year for the signs that you can see now and for some fencing and for a new grandstand. And we're back before you for an addition for an auditorium, a swimming pool, locker room, and other facilities addition. We were before the Columbia Savin Hill Civic Association. We had a meeting in January. We had a BPDA public meeting in February, and the Columbia Savin Hill Civic Association voted to support us at its meeting in February, and I believe you have a letter to that effect that was submitted to you. BC High is an allowed use in this district. We're in the Community Facilities District of the Dorchester Neighborhood District. And this addition will not result in any dimensional violations of the code. The GPOD, Greenbelt Protection Overlay District, a portion of the property is within the GPOD along Morrissey Boulevard. The GPOD requires a conditional use permit. And we will also be relocating parking spaces, and we're within a restricted parking district. So ISD cited us for a conditional use permit within a restricted parking district. I would like to turn this over now to Michael Hoyle, who can go through the presentation with you and answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you, Paula, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to see this. I have a couple comments that I'm going to turn over to Paul McNeely from our architect firm, McNeely, who are the architects on this project. This project came about because we were fortunate enough to actually have an alum who passed away and left the stipulation of a $49 million gift to build the building. And that was the stipulation, we had to build a building. So what we're proposing to build will sort of help us with a need that BC High has, which is to have really adequate fitness and wellness spaces. So this is a 2-story, 42,000 square foot building that will be demolishing a little 1-story building that currently has our locker rooms and a weight room. And in its place, we'll wrap around McNeese Gym and build this fitness wellness facility that will have double the size of our current weight room. Also have a cardio space, a space for the wrestling team to practice, a nutrition kitchen, wellness classroom, and then a 8-lane, 25-yard pool with a 1 meter and 3 meter diving board. So this will really help the school sort of round out its athletic program. So I'm going to stop there and turn it over to Paul McNeely, who will walk you through a couple slides here and show you not only the outside of the building, some floor plans, but also the landscaping plan and how we are proposing to sort of beautify that north side of campus, which is rather industrial right now. So Paul?
Thank you, Michael. Madam Chair and members of the board, I'd like to begin our presentation by showing you a few exterior photographs of the campus. This is a view from the Morrissey Boulevard side of campus at the north entry point. This is the main student pedestrian entrance to campus if they're coming from the Red Line subway station and entering the campus. In the far left-hand side of this photograph is the McNeese Gym. The McNeese Gym is where we're adding our building to the left-hand side of that gymnasium building. To the right-hand side of the image is the rest of the BC High campus. If we go to the next slide. These are three exterior views of the McNeese Gym. The top view is the west elevation of the McNeese Gym, and our building will be to the left-hand side of that image. The middle image is the north elevation of McNeese Gym in the middle. To the right-hand side of that image is the remainder of the BC High campus. Our building will completely envelope this side of the McNeese Gym. And the bottom image to the left is the existing BC High campus. To the right is the east elevation of the McNeese Gym. And again, our building will envelope this side of the McNeese Gym. We go to the next slide, please. Thank you. This is the existing campus site plan. The bottom of the drawing is Morrissey Boulevard. To the right-hand side is B.N. Cooley Boulevard. To the top of the sheet is additional development, and to the left-hand side of the drawing is additional development. The green space is either open green space or playing fields. The gray color is the existing campus architecture. The white is vehicular circulation and vehicular parking. At the bottom of the sheets, there's the main vehicular entrance. That red arrow in the middle of the sheet is the main entrance to the campus, and that brings you around back out to Morrissey Boulevard to the left. That's also the north vehicular entrance to campus. And on the left-hand side of the sheet, there's the north parking area, which currently has 372 existing parking spaces. To the top of the sheet, that red hatched area is adjacent to the existing McNeese Gymnasium, and that's a portion, as Michael Hoyle mentioned, that we're removing to construct our new building. The bright green circles in the lower left-hand corner are existing trees to remain, and the yellow circles to the top of the sheet are existing trees that we're removing due to the construction. If we go to the next slide, please. This is our proposed site plan. Our new building is in red. That's the McNeese Gym that it's wrapping around. The dotted line at the bottom of the drawing is the FEMA line, which is at elevation 1746. Our building first floor elevation is at elevation 23. The new parking area, we're reconfiguring the existing parking area and reducing the parking count from 372 to 360. Now, in the process of reducing the paved area, we're adding additional green space. So between adding that additional green space and a white roof on our addition, we're reducing the heat island effect of the existing site by 31,000 square feet. The dark green circles are new trees that we're adding. We're adding 92 new trees. The green arrows around the red box are entrance points to our new building. And then at the very top of the sheets on the east side of our addition, we have a new outdoor classroom space. If we go to the next slide, please. These are three exterior elevations of our new building. At the top drawing to the right-hand side of that elevation is the existing McNeese building. To the left-hand side of that image is our new building. This is the natatorium end of our new building. So this is the view if you're driving down Morrissey Boulevard or entering the campus on the north end of campus. This is the view that you would see. Between this natatorium entrance and the existing McNeese building is a new entrance to the facility that we're calling the natatorium entrance. The middle image is the north elevation of our building. The right-hand side is the natatorium end. The left-hand side of the image is weight room and locker rooms. Now, we've reduced fenestration on the north side due to energy concerns. And then the lower image is the east elevation of our building, existing campus to the left. We have weight room and nutrition classroom on the second level of this. There's locker rooms down below. And in between the existing campus and our building, we have a new east entrance that we're creating. And this connects back to the major circulation spine through the building that connects us back out to the front of campus. From a material standpoint, we have basically a brick building. We have some anodized aluminum panels. We have an anodized aluminum storefront system. We have precast concrete sills. And these materials match the existing material palette of the existing campus architecture. If we go to the next slide, please. So the next three slides are three-dimensional images of our addition. The top slide is the view looking from the west. Again, if you're driving down Morrissey Boulevard or entering the north side of campus, this is the natatorium entrance view that you would see. McNeese is to the right. The bottom drawing is, again, a view of the natatorium entrance with McNeese to the right, our new natatorium facility to the left. Next slide, please. These are two additional images, one from the northwest, one from the bottom from the northeast. And as we begin to wrap around the building towards the north, you can see how the fenestration reduces. We're also showing visiting team access on this side, and bus parking also occurs on this side of the building. And then we come around to the northeast side of the building. The building begins to open up again towards the light and the view. And if we go to the final image, this is now the new east facade of the building, existing campus to the left, our building to the right. Second level is the existing weight room. On the corner is the nutrition classroom, locker rooms below, and then our new east entry between the two existing campus and our new building. That completes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go to public testimony.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background on the community process. There's not many abutters in this section of Boston, so we had the applicant reach out to the local civic association, the Columbia Savin Hill Civic, where they presented twice, receiving support from that group. With that, we defer to this board. Our office is unaware of any concerns at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Joe McEachran, City Councilor, Frank Baker's office, would like to go on record in support.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Paul Sullivan, for City Council at Large, Michael Flaherty. The council would like to go on record in enthusiastic support.
There are no attendees with raised hands, Madam Chair.
I see Mr. Mann.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Tom Mannion, Councilor Aaron Murphy's office. At this time, Councilor Murphy would also like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Perez.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Mina Perez representing the Carpenters Union. On behalf of Hundreds of Union Carpenters that live and work throughout the city, and particularly our Dorchester residents, want to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Make a motion for approval.
May I have a second? Second, thank you. Mr. Stumbridge.
Yes.
Ms. Better-Baraza.
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Thank you. The chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to ask if there are any for the 11 o'clock hearings and the 11:30 rediscussions, if there are any withdrawals or deferrals. being
Yes. Sorry, 92 Waldemar Ave. And there's two companion cases with that, Mr. Stumbridge, 96 Waldemar and 104 Waldemar.
So you're asking for a deferral on all three?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Steinbridge. This is, I'm the architect.
So,
Hello?
bear with me, please. So for the 11 o'clock hearing, where deferral is being requested for case BOA 129-0225, the address being 92 Waldemar Avenue. The next, along with that, would be case BOA 129-0226, the address being 96 Waldemar Ave. And the final companion case of that would be case BOA 129-0229 with the address of 104 Waldemar Ave.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. This project has been modified. There are now three-unit buildings. This is still being advertised as 5-unit buildings. Plans still have to be reviewed, the new updated plans, so we would request a deferral from the board.
Thank you. Javier, what's the next available?
Yes, Madam Chair, next available date would be June 6th of this one.
Mr. Drago,
Perfect, thank you, Madam Chair.
may I have a motion?
I make a motion to defer till June the 6th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stembridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary, 1617 Tremont Street. That is the last matter on the 11:30 agenda. Mr. Secretary, it's page 10 on the agenda. That's helpful.
Okay, yep.
10, I'm sorry, what was the address again?
1617 Tremont Street.
Yes, ma'am. It's the
So-
last one on the 30s.
So in that case, that would be case BOA 136-1351, with the address being 1617 Tremont Street. Thank you for that information.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary. We just need more time in order to continue discussions with the Boston Landmarks Commission. The site is within the Mission Hill Triangle Architectural Conservation District, and to have some more time to continue neighborhood outreach. So that's the reason for the second deferral. I did hear Mr. Secretary or Attorney Salas mentioning June 6th. If June 27th would be available, I don't want to be on the agenda too early and have to ask for another deferral. That would give us that extra couple of weeks to hopefully get to where we need to. Thank you. Yes, Madam Chair, it's Javier. June 27th, can work.
Okay, thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer,
May I have a second?
27?
Second.
Mr. Stembridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Thank you. The chair also votes yes. Motion carries.
4 Haynes Street. It's 11 a.m. case.
Okay, that was right after the Waldemar case?
Yes, Madam Chair.
So that would be a requested deferral for case BOA 139-5905, with the address being 4 Haynes Street.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. We were prepared to go forward. However, we were notified by ISD that under exam by the plans examiner, there were a few violations that were missing. So this has to be re-advertised. So we are seeking a short deferral if that June 6th date is still available. That would work out perfectly, but we ask the board.
Yes, Madam Chair, June 6th is still available for that date.
Right, with that, may I have a motion?
Make a motion to defer to June 6th.
Thank you, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you. I also have another one, 295 Webster Street, 1130 rediscussed case. Second one in the 1130s, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary.
Bear with me, please.
295 Webster, Ward 1.
Page 6, if that helps you, Mr. Stenbridge.
So thank you for that information, Madam Chair. That would be case BOA 1267825 with the address of 295 Webster Street.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. This project had a few deferrals. It goes back to the prior board. One was because it was a short board. There were a few members on. The second, there were two parts to this case. One was to approve a roof deck. The other was for the garden level apartment. The prior board approved the roof deck, but asked that they defer to get more information. My office was not part of the project at that time. We came in late at the last hearing, had asked for deferral to get our ducks in a row. We did get a new site plan that was asked for review. That still has to be reviewed by ISD. So we would ask for a deferral, and we will be prepared at the next hearing if granted.
Thank you. Javier, what's the next available?
Yes, the next available at this point would be June 27th.
Okay, thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer till June 22nd.
27th.
Excuse me.
That's okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Returning to the
I have one more deferral.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Yes, this is for 16 Dunmore Street in Roxbury. I'm the architect. My business address is 523 Medford Street, Charlestown. And we were deferred before, and the reason why we're asking.
He needs to call it into the record, please. It's on the 1130s.
So that would be case BOA 1395189 with the address being 16 Dunmore Street.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. The reason why we're asking for another deferral is we had a deferral already. And the reason for that first one was that we were trying to address some of the neighbors' concerns about parking. And we went back to revise our site plan, and unfortunately our surveyor passed away. So we're in the process of getting a new surveyor, and that's why we're asking for this. So hopefully, if we can ask for a June date, maybe a later date in June, so that we can bring a surveyor on board, so that we can actually update the site plan.
Thank you. Javier, what's the next available?
Madam Chair, if it works for the applicant, June 27th, but if they want a later date, the next available would be July 11th.
I think the June 27 would be sufficient. I can take that. Yeah.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Any further requests for withdrawals or deferrals? If not, then we move on to case BOA 1405880, the address being 159 to 161 Callender Street. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes, I'm Kenford Brown. I'm
Yes,
the
sir.
owner. Yes, I'm the owner of 159 Callender Street. I'm trying to seek relief from the board to get my basement refinished due to health condition. I currently live on the attic apartment, and it's difficult in getting up to and from. So I'm trying to get my basement refinished. Additional living space.
Okay. Does that include a bedroom or just common rooms, like living rooms, et cetera?
It will include a bedroom and an open kitchen space.
Okay. And can you confirm the height of your basement and windows?
Okay, the current height is 6'10". Yeah.
What's the height of the, sorry, what's the height?
6 feet and 10 inches. That's from floor to ceiling in the basement. 6'10".
Okay.
And you want the height of the windows?
Are there windows? Where
Yes.
are they?
Yes, there are windows.
Okay.
Yeah, two windows in the front portion, 2 windows at the side, 2 windows at each side, and 1 window in the back portion of the building.
Ms. Better Baraza, questions on the plans?
But you need 7 feet clear height for 1 to 2 family, so it doesn't, it would be a building code violation, just for the board to know.
Mr. Brown, can you address that?
I need 7 feet.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do some. Yeah, there'll be some digging. Yeah, there'll be some digging to get it to 7 feet and sealing off the basement floor. Yeah, we'll dig a few feet down to get it to 7 feet, and we'll
Okay.
do some subleveling.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, with that, may I have a public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. We, the applicant, notify abutters via flyering within 300 feet. I did not hear back responses. We then had the applicant meet with the Woodrow Ave Neighborhood Association, which expressed they had no objections to the proposal. With that, we defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Ayemide Owiwa from the Office of the City Council, Brian Worrell. And in regards to the 159 to 161 Callender Street property, our office having received no letters of opposition or support, and due to the minimal changes being made, our office would like to go in record of support of this project.
Thank you.
There are no additional raised hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with the proviso that there will be no building code relief.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Ms. Better Brazza,
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd,
Yes.
Ewell,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Mr. Langham.
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks to the board. Awesome.
Next case is EOA 1359303. The address being 17 Longfellow Street. Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, 28 State Street in Boston. With me today is Neil Golden, who's the project developer from 17 Longfellow Street LLC, and Tanya Carrier from Calcit Design Inc., who's the architect. I'll try and go through this presentation as quickly as I can, Madam Chair. Next slide, please. Madam Ambassador, perfect. So just quick project summary. 17 Longfellow is located between Toplift Street and Draper Street in the greater Bowdoin, Geneva neighborhood area of Dorchester. This is a vacant lot. The proposal, as you can see here, is to construct a new 3-story, 3-family residential building with 3 off-street parking spaces at the rear, using an existing curb cut at the property. All of the units will be larger family-size units for each of the 3 units. The total floor area you can see here is about 4,000 square feet for this 3-family building, and that corresponds to a floor area ratio of 1.13. And the proposal is to improve and really revitalize this underutilized site that's been vacant for a long time with a new high-quality and appropriately designed 3-family residential building that we believe conforms to the context and character of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. This slide just shows a proposed conditions plan. Thank you, Madam Ambassador, for zooming in. It's a little tough to see, but this is, again, it's actually the only vacant lot on Longfellow Street. The lot's about 3,440 square feet of lot size, which is pretty typical for the lots on Longfellow. So this would be an infill project. It's more than 16 feet off the front lot line, and that's pulled back, as you can see, to be in pretty much conformity with the buildings on either side of us. It's also 10 feet off of the left side where the driveway is and 5 feet off the other side lot line. And then you'll see it's about 20 feet from the rear lot line with an overhang for some living space in the second floor of the parking area. And then there's a front porch and ground level open space that you can see on this, but there's no proposed roof decks or balconies for the project. Next slide. Thank you. This is just an architectural site plan, again, showing a little bit more detail of what I just mentioned. The lot size, 3,440 square feet. The proposed building sited on the lot, including parking via a driveway with 3 parking spaces at the rear. And that curb cut, again, is an existing curb cut at the site today. Next slide, please. These are just unit area plans and the gross plans showing just, what I mentioned again before about the different unit sizes and how we got to that 4,000 square feet. And if you go to the next slide, Madam Ambassador, you'll see the floor plans in a little bit more detail. Again, all these units are large family size units. The first unit is actually a townhouse duplex unit on the first floor and lower level. It's 2 beds and 2 baths. On the first floor and the lower level doesn't have any bedrooms. It's just a family room and a home office in that lower level. That's about 1,700 square feet. Second floor is its own unit. That is a 3-bed, 2-bath, which is about 1,000 square feet. And then the top floor unit is also a 3-bed, 2-bath, which is 1,244 square feet. So again, larger, 2-bed, 2-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath. Family size units, all above 1,000 square feet. Next slide, please. This is just the elevations from each side. The height is 32 feet. The maximum building height is 35 feet, so we actually don't need a height variance for the building height in feet, but we do need a height variance for the stories. What the max in this sub-district is 2.5 stories. And we're at a full 3 stories, as you can see here. But we're still 3 feet below the max building height allowance from that standpoint. Next slide. I just wanted to show you here, this is just an assessing map showing the uses along Longfellow. The reason for this, Madam Chair, is this is, again, a proposed three-family building, and we're in a 1F 5,000 zoning subdistrict. So we do need a use variance for the three-family. However, this is a small one-block, 1F zoning district, sub-district. It actually immediately abuts to the rear, a 3F 3,000 sub-district on Ridgewood, which would actually allow this use. And then we just wanted to show the board contextually that there are a whole bunch of 2s and 3s right along Longfellow on this side of the street. On the other side of Longfellow, it is all single-family homes, but on this side there is kind of a mix of 1s, but mostly 2s. Next slide. This is just a zoning chart. I'm happy to go through this in more detail if there's any questions, but it outlines the zoning relief that we need. The project does require 8 zoning variances, but we would again submit, from what we just showed, that it's contextually still appropriate to the street. A lot of the existing lots on Longfellow have these same variances, the same lot width issues, the same lot area issues, and same setback issues as well. What we don't need is relief for height. Again, I mentioned that. We have enough open space. We don't need the front yard setback because we're contextually appropriate. And we also provided the required 3 parking spaces at 1 per unit. We don't need zoning relief for that. And on this page, I just want to note too that the BPDA, I believe, did recommend approval with design review for the project, which does speak to the zoning as well. Next slide, almost done. Next slide is just the zoning refusal letter. This again just highlights what I just mentioned, just showing you that we won't be recited for from ISD. Next slide. Madam Chair, I know that the Mayor's office and others will probably highlight the outreach in the project in opposition or support. I did just want to, I'm a visual person, so I did just want to show the board that we actually have submitted support letters from every direct abutter touching our property, including the 2 on the side and the 3 at the rear. So I just wanted to highlight that. And the last slide, I believe we are all set. I also just wanted to mention, Madam Chair, you may hear from some folks about a deed restriction on this property. This was one of those so-called yard sale lots from 25 years or so ago. When we came on board as zoning attorneys, we're not transactional, but we were told and informed that this has been removed appropriately. And we actually discussed that with the Mayor's Office of Housing. They reviewed the updated deed and have stated that the restriction has been properly waived and is no longer in effect. So I know the board doesn't necessarily get involved in that, but I just wanted to end with that point as well. So thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, and you did answer that question that was offered as some of the reasons for opposition. So appreciate that. Any other questions from the board?
In terms of just clarification, I did look at the zoning viewer on property 13A because that was flagged as a 3-family. It's currently under the assessors noted as a 2-family. Did you just come to the 3-family just the way that, did you actually count the tenants on that property?
No, Ms. Peraza, I apologize. Well, we just went through the assessing and did exactly what you did, the zoning viewer, and clicked on it. If that was the case, which property was it?
It was 13A. I still see it as a 2-family. I haven't been able to kind of click in the vicinity of 3-family.
Okay. I don't know.
I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing it as you're talking.
Thank you. No, it was done exactly the way you did it. We clicked on the zoning viewer, which takes you to the assessing and tells you what it be assessed as.
Okay. Can you give me another property that has 3-family along that street that it's not 13A?
Madam Ambassador, if you go back to the slide that had that, I think it was slide, keep going. This slide does have it. If you go back down, the slide has it too.
Okay. Yep, so it's right next to, you have 3 properties right next to 19. Okay, thank
Correct.
you.
Yeah,
No further
21,
questions.
23, 25, and then if you go down further, it was 11. So I apologize if that was mistyped. But
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, with that, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. As the applicant's representation indicated, an abutters meeting was held. There were some concerns expressed around parking at the driveway, as well as tree removal from the lands. Also questions around whether or not this would be rental or home ownership. The applicant did go on to meet with the Greater Bowdoin Geneva Neighborhood Association and receive support from that civic group. At this time, we'd like to defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Any other,
Yes, Madam Chair, I have 3 raised hands.
okay.
All right, so I have Yvette, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please. Yvette? Okay, I'll go to the next. Hector, if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
If I may, Madam Chair, I know both of them are they're the property owners on both sides of us. They did submit letters of support, if that's helpful. They were on. Here we go. I apologize.
Hi, Yvette.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Yvette Matos. I'm actually representing my aunt, Juanita Rodriguez, who is actually living on 15 Longfellow. She's a direct abutter, and she doesn't speak English, so that's what I'm speaking for right now.
Thank you. And are you speaking in support or opposition?
Supporter.
Thank you. Anything you want to add to that?
She just wants to say that the lot's been empty for a long time now, and that she is in full support for the developer of what's going on with the housing. She also states that she would love to see more development going around the area, so to provide help for others that are looking and seeking for housing. So she's in fully support of this.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so we'll go to Ms. Newton. Hi, Ms. Newton. You've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Ella Newton, and I live at number 20 Longfellow. And the size, I think it's too big for that lot. I think it's going to create more issues. I just don't think the fit is good. I don't think the family is there.
Thank you.
All right, and then I have one more. Sorry. John Parsons, you've been unmuted. If you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, yes, I'm John Parsons. I live at number 7 Longfellow Street, and I'm speaking in opposition to the variance. I think there's been some misrepresentation to say that a triple-decker would be consistent with this street. Anybody who turns onto the street suddenly notices how different it is. It's surrounded by 3F and 2F zoned areas. It's zoned 1F, and you see it immediately. If you look behind the street behind it, Ridgewood Street is a 3F street, and it has several empty lots, all suitable for this development that's being proposed, all larger lots than the 1F here. I just don't understand the idea of taking the one street that's a 1F and bleeding into it properties that are more suitable in the entire district around there that is zoned 3F. There are many.
Thank you,
I also
Mr.
think there's been misrepresentation about the Greater Bowdoin Geneva Neighborhood Association supporting the project. I believe you have on file a letter from them opposing it.
Thank you. I see 2 other raised hands.
Hi.
Hi, Madam Chair. Yes,
Hector
that's.
Polanco. I live on 19 Longfellow Street. I'm direct abutter. The lot being empty. We are no purpose fully support this project building for housing. There are 3 and 2 family house on the street, on the side street, fully support this.
Thank you, Mr. Polanco.
Thank you.
Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Rudolph Weeks. I live at 16 Longfellow Street. I'm directly in front of the 17th Street, 17 Longfellow lot. I oppose the development and the lot variances for the following reasons. The lot was previously a single family. Longfellow's unique characteristics of 41 homes only has 3 families. The lot was purchased in 2000 through the city's yard sale program and is considered non-buildable because it is so close to the other lots. The lot sold during this program did have a deed restriction. And then lastly, all of the neighbors that attended the 2 abutters meetings on August 16th and on August 25th opposed the development. I also have a letter that I forwarded from Geneva, which also said they oppose, contrary to what was already stated, and neither of the abutters that are now here present, neither of any one of those houses that were in the green attended any of the abutters meetings, and I feel it's disrespectful that the people that did come out and have given their time are being ignored.
Thank you. Francis, any other raised hands?
No additional raised hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion of approval with BPDA design review. It is in a 1F 5,000 district, but we do see a couple of properties to the right that are 3 family. In terms of the exterior, it does work with some of the bow front typology that you also see on the street.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Ms. Better Baraza?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia? Is Mr. Valencia on?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Langham?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. With that, can we take a 15-minute break?
Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair.